Chapter 1466. In the end, the Feng family patriarch had no choice but to nod and agree to bring Su Long's group to the ancient ruins. "Let's go, you point the way." Su Long lifted the Feng family patriarch and said, "To the east." The Feng family patriarch pointed out the direction. Lu Ming's group rose into the air and flew in the direction the Feng family patriarch pointed. They flew all the way to the depths of the Sixth Void Mountain, flying a distance of more than 100,000 miles. Finally, they landed in a remote canyon. They arrived in front of a cave in the depths of the canyon. This cave was indeed very hidden. If one had to search slowly, it would not be easy to find it. This ancient ruin is an ancient cave dwelling. It's very big inside. I estimate that it's the place of seclusion of a peerless expert. The Feng family patriarch said. Greed flashed in Su Long's eyes, saying, "You better be telling the truth. Otherwise, you know the consequences." "Every word I say is true. That bell of mine was obtained from this cave dwelling." The Feng family patriarch said. These words made Su Long, Duan Yen, Fu Xing, and the rest believe him even more. That bell was indeed incomparably mysterious. It could injure one's soul. This kind of treasure was very difficult to buy in the outside world. Su Long took it without any courtesy on the way, not asking Lu Ming, the person who defeated the Feng family patriarch. Lu Ming did not say a word along the way, only following the group. "If you're worried, I can lead the way in first. Anyway, my cultivation is sealed, there's no way I can escape." The Feng family patriarch said again. "All right, you lead the way." Su Long put down the Feng family patriarch. The Feng family patriarch immediately strode into the cave. Su Long, Duan Yen, and Fu Xing hurriedly followed, as if afraid that the treasures inside would be taken away by others. Lu Ming walked at the back and followed in. Walking into the cave, there was a narrow passage. After going all the way in, about a few hundred meters later, they saw a faint light. Walking through the passage, the front suddenly opened up. It was a huge underground cave. On the surrounding walls, there were gems emitting a faint light. Arriving here, the Feng family patriarch's face revealed a sinister smile. He suddenly strode forward and knelt down. This subordinate greets elder demon's soul. The Feng family patriarch kowtowed to a figure. A human figure. Lu Ming and the others were shocked. Only then did they realize that there was a figure sitting cross-legged in the middle of the underground cavern. It was an old man. He looked very, very old. There were only a few strands of white hair left on his head. The skin on his face was shriveled and wrinkles piled up like mountains. His entire body seemed to be devoid of flesh and blood. He looked like a skeleton sitting there. However, those eyes were eerily black as they stared at Lu Ming and the others, revealing a deep desire. There was actually someone else in the ancient cave dwelling. It was an old man who looked like a skeleton. He, you did well." The skeleton-like old man let out an ear-piercing and unpleasant laugh. "Thank you for your praise, elder. This is what I should do." The head of the Feng family said with a flattering expression. "What happened?" Lu Ming and the others slowly retreated. Duan Yen shouted loudly. "We've been tricked." Lu Ming said in a deep voice. "A trap?" Duan Yen was stunned. "Feng family patriarch, his purpose is probably to bring us here. He told us to go around him before he brought us here. It was all an act." Lu Ming said. "Ha ha ha, brat, you really are smart." "That's right, I was faking it. My goal was to bring you here and sacrifice you to Elder Devil's soul. If I could capture you and bring you here, that would be even better. If I couldn't capture you, then I could trick you here." The head of the Feng family laughed. It was fake. The ancient ruins were all fake. The head of the Feng family's purpose was to bring them here. "Look over there." Duan Yen suddenly pointed behind the skeleton-like old man and said with a trembling voice. Lu Ming and the others looked over and were shocked. There was a pile of bones there. No, to be precise, it was a pile of dried corpses. It was just like after being devoured by Lu Ming's devouring power. This person wants to use us to recover, Duan Yen said with a trembling voice. At this point, how could they not guess the old man's purpose? They would be idiots if they didn't. It was obvious that this old man was injured and wanted to use them to recover. Who are you? We are disciples of the Dragon God Valley. If you kill us, the experts of the Dragon God Valley will not let you go. Duan Yen shouted. Hee, Dragon God Valley. 80,000 years ago, this old man killed countless of them. The skeleton-like old man sneered. His words made Su Long and the others feel like they had fallen into an ice cellar. 80,000 years ago, this old man had lived for at least 80,000 years. It was impossible for a martial emperor to live that long. In other words, this old man was a true Saint Realm expert. They actually ran into a true Saint Realm expert. Run! Duan Yen and Fu Xing turned around and ran. Die! Die! The skeleton-like old man bellowed. Then, a shocking scene appeared. Duan Yen and Fu Xing's bodies stiffened abruptly, stopping in midair. Then, both of them fell limply to the ground, no longer showing any signs of life. Both of them died after being bellowed by the skeleton-like old man. They didn't even see how the old man attacked. Duan Yen and Fu Xing didn't even have any injuries on their bodies. Su Long's body trembled violently, cold sweat trickled down his back. Boom! At this time, a vast aura burst out from the skeleton-like old man's body. This aura was as deep as the sea, as if it was a world, as if it was the law of heaven and earth. True Saint Realm, the aura of a true Saint Realm expert. Plop! Su Long fell to his knees, kowtowing repeatedly as he begged, Senior, please spare my life. As long as Senior spares this wretched life of mine, this junior will go through water and tread on fire, become an ox or a horse, to repay Senior's kindness. Even Lu Ming was speechless. This Su Long was scared out of his wits after the skeleton-like old man released his aura, kneeling down and begging for mercy, without any dignity of a cultivator. Hee, if you want me to spare you, that's fine too. Relax your mind, I will engrave a restriction on your soul. You will obey my every command in the future, and I can spare you. The skeleton-like old man's aura quickly withdrew, and his shriveled voice continued to ring out. Su Long's face was completely pale, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness. If the old man engraved a restriction on his soul, then he would have to obey the old man for the rest of his life and become his slave. But if he didn't agree, the old man was a true Saint Realm expert. Didn't he see how Duan Yen and Fu Xing died with just a shout? What? You still need to hesitate? Let me tell you, I am an elder of the evil spirit sect. It is your great fortune to join my evil spirit sect. The skeleton-like old man sneered. What? You are an elder of the evil spirit sect? Chapter 1467. Su Long's face was filled with fear when he heard the skeletal old man's words. At this moment, he kowtowed without any hesitation and said loudly, This junior is willing to submit to Senior and the evil spirit sect. Evil spirit sect? Lu Ming frowned slightly. He had never heard of this faction, but why was Su Long so terrified when he heard this name? Su Long's fear came from the depths of his heart. It was not an act. This meant that Su Long was truly terrified when he heard the name Evil Spirit Sect. Lu Ming guessed that the Evil Spirit Sect might be a great sect outside the Tsang province. Hee, at least you know what's good for you. Relax your mind. The skeletal old man smiled coldly. A wisp of black light spread out from between his brows and shot into Su Kong's body, disappearing without a trace. Su Long immediately revealed a respectful expression towards the skeletal old man and said, This subordinate, Su Long, will definitely not hesitate to die for elder in the future. Kid, what about you? Relax your mind and submit to this old man. As long as you help this old man deceive more people, this old man will definitely reward you handsomely in the future. The skeletal old man said. He's willing to be your lackey, but I'm not interested. Lu Ming said calmly. What did you say? Kid, you're courting death. The skeletal old man shouted coldly. Hee hee, you don't have to scare me. In my opinion, you don't have much strength now, do you? Lu Ming stared at the skeletal old man and said. The skeletal old man's expression changed slightly. Kid, this old man is indeed injured, but this old man can easily deal with a mere martial emperor. Is that so? In my opinion, it's more like a fox borrowing the tiger's might. When we first came in, you killed Duan Yen and Su Long with a loud shout. That method should have directly destroyed their souls. Then, you deliberately released the aura of a saint stage cultivator to intimidate us. But if you really have the strength of a saint stage cultivator, why do you need to do this? You released your saint realm aura too deliberately. Moreover, you needed the Feng family's patriarch to lure us here. In my opinion, you shouldn't use that kind of method too much. Otherwise, your injuries will worsen. Also, you can't leave this place. You'll worsen your injuries. Am I right? Lu Ming slowly retreated as he explained. The skeletal old man's expression changed. Su Long's expression also changed. Damn it, this Lu Ming knew so much. Why didn't he say it earlier? Su Long roared in his heart. If Lu Ming had said so earlier, he would not have sought refuge with the skeletal elder. He might have been able to escape if he had risked his life. Little guy, you're very careful, but you still have to die. Su Long, kill him for me. The skeletal old man instructed. Su Long's expression changed. He had no confidence in dealing with Lu Ming. Elder, although this person's cultivation is weak, but... Kill him for me, kill him. Kill. The skeletal old man shouted coldly. Su Long screamed as if he was in endless pain. Elder, please spare my life. I will kill him now. Kill him. The skeletal old man said. Lu Ming, go to hell. At the next moment, Su Long pounced on Lu Ming with a ferocious look in his eyes. Swoosh! 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 A terrifying sword light was released from Su Long's long sword, aiming at Lu Ming's vital points. Bang! 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 Lu Ming threw a few punches and broke Su Long's sword light. Lu Ming, what's the use of resisting? You are destined to die. Even if you escape back to the Divine Dragon Valley, Yin Feng will not let you off. Su Long roared. You are indeed sent by Yin Feng. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. This Su Long had hidden his cultivation level previously. When Lu Ming was fighting with the Feng family's head, he stood at the side and watched, wanting to kill with a borrowed knife. Lu Ming had been suspicious. Now it seemed that it was true. Originally, I wanted to find an opportunity to kill you while you were unprepared. But it's the same to kill you now. Su Long seemed to have gone crazy as he launched a torrential attack on Lu Ming. He had already surrendered to the evil spirit sect's elders. This matter must not be spread out. Otherwise, he would definitely die. Therefore, Lu Ming must die. Kill! At this moment, Lu Ming's third bloodline appeared, and a wave of energy surged into Lu Ming's body. Then, the chaotic domain erupted as he executed the hell-suppressing heaven art and punched at Su Long. Boom! This punch directly pierced through all of Su Long's defenses. The terrifying fist force bombarded Su Long's chest. Half of Su Long's body exploded and was sent flying into the distance. Apart from a few trump cards, this punch was almost Lu Ming's full strength. It was enough to kill a fourth-layer martial emperor expert. Su Long could not resist at all. After killing Su Long with a single move, Lu Ming's black wings appeared. With a flap, his figure rushed toward the entrance of the passage. Chaotic domain, it's actually the chaotic domain. I didn't expect a genius to comprehend the chaotic domain in the small Tsang continent. Kill, I must kill him. Shocking murderous intent flashed in the skeletal old man's eyes. Wisps of black light appeared between his eyebrows. Kill! The skeletal old man suddenly roared. A black ray instantly tore through the void and appeared behind Lu Ming, shooting toward Lu Ming. Its speed was unbelievably fast, as if it had teleported. Lu Ming was shocked. He wanted to dodge, but it was too late. This ray of light directly penetrated the chaotic domain and shot into Lu Ming's body, rushing toward the spirit god. Dang! The ray of light landed on the spirit god. The jade armor on the spirit god emitted a brilliant glow, forming a barrier that blocked the black ray of light. Lu Ming's body shuddered slightly, before he continued to rush toward the exit. A defensive artifact for the spirit god, such a rare artifact. Damn it, I can't let him escape. The skeletal old man let out a deep roar as his body emitted a cracking sound. It floated in the air like a skeleton that had been sitting there for tens of thousands of years. Elder, remove the seal on my cultivation. I'll help you to hunt down that kid. The patriarch of the Phone clan yelled. There's no point in keeping a piece of trash like you alive. Die! The skeletal old man's eyes flickered coldly as he opened his mouth and inhaled. A layer of black light encapsulated the patriarch of the Phone clan, who let out a cry of agony as his body shriveled at a speed visible to the naked eye, turning into a dried corpse. Su Long's, Duan Yan's, and Fu Xing's corpses also turned into dried corpses. The essence of their flesh and blood had been devoured by the old man. At that instant, his skin began to emit a faint glow. Kill! With a low roar, he turned into a ray of black light and rushed out of the cave, chasing after Lu Ming. Lu Ming flew out of the cave. The wind-settling bead's energy flowed into him. He executed the wind origin spell and the black feather wings to fly away. However, he didn't fly far before a shocking sound of breaking wind came from behind him. A ray of black light was flying toward him at an extremely fast speed. This old man actually wants to kill me regardless of his injuries. Chapter 1468. Lu Ming spread his black wings, which were more than 10 meters wide. With a flap, Lu Ming turned into a black bolt of lightning. He tore through the void and traveled 100 miles in an instant. This was the Yuan continent. This speed was extremely shocking. However, Lu Ming realized that the black light behind him was even faster and was slowly approaching him. Air-frozen pearl. Lu Ming increased the energy of the air-frozen pearl and his speed suddenly increased. He was barely able to keep up with the speed of the old man behind him. The two of them chased and fled. In the blink of an eye, they had left the Six Void Mountain and were heading into the distance. The chase lasted for half a day. This brat, his speed is actually so fast. But if you want to maintain this speed, let's see how long you can last. Behind him, the skeletal old man sneered. True enough, at this moment, Lu Ming gradually slowed down. To maintain this speed and fly at full speed consumed too much true qi. Continuously using the wind origin skill and controlling the black wings consumed a lot of true qi. Now, Lu Ming's true qi was running out. The skeletal old man and Lu Ming were getting closer and closer. Kid, even if I was severely injured 80,000 years ago and have yet to recover, it's still a piece of cake for me to deal with a puny first-layer martial royal like you. The skeletal old man's voice was unusually cold. Old man, do you really think you can catch up with me? Lu Ming's voice was still calm. Is that so? I'd like to see what other tricks you have. The skeletal old man sneered. Whoosh! Suddenly, a passage appeared in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped into it. In the next moment, Lu Ming appeared thousands of miles away. Space-time territory, this is the space-time territory. The skeletal old man screamed in shock. That's right. Lu Ming had asked Bubble to help him open up the space-time territory. He appeared thousands of miles away in an instant and distanced himself from the skeletal old man. After distancing himself, Lu Ming waved his hand and a large pile of origin stones appeared in the air. Lu Ming's palm erupted with a powerful devouring power and devoured the origin stones. He then continued to fly while refining the origin stones to replenish his true chi. Don't even think about escaping. The skeletal old man roared, his sunken eye sockets flashing with raging flames. The two of them continued their chase. When the distance between the skeletal old man and Lu Ming narrowed, Lu Ming asked Bubble to help him open a space-time channel. The distance between the two of them increased once more. This happened several times. The skeletal old man flew into a rage, but he still couldn't catch up to Lu Ming. No, I can't let this continue. I'm heavily injured, and if this continues, it'll be detrimental to my recovery. I have to quickly take down this person. Moreover, this person actually has the help of the Spacetime Spirit Mouse. Didn't the Spacetime Spirit Mouse die in battle? Why did it appear again? Let's take advantage of the fact that the Spacetime Spirit Rat is still not strong enough to kill it. The skeletal old man's eyes flashed, and in the end, he gritted his teeth and steeled his heart. Break! The skeletal old man roared. Then, a ray of light split from his body and entered the space. It flashed and disappeared. However, the skeletal old man's aura had weakened a little. In front of him, Lu Ming was flying. Suddenly, the space in front of him fluctuated. A black light flashed, and a figure appeared. Lu Ming's pupils shrank, and his body stopped abruptly. It was the skeletal old man. The skeletal old man actually appeared in front of Lu Ming. Boom! The skeletal old man emitted a powerful aura, locking onto Lu Ming. Kid, let's see where you can run to now. The skeletal old man sneered. Swoosh! Behind him, there was the sound of something breaking through the air. A black light flashed, and another skeletal old man appeared behind Lu Ming. Two black-robed old men surrounded Lu Ming. At this time, Lu Ming realized that the skeletal old man didn't have a lower body. Only his upper body was left. The skeletal old man was wearing a large black robe. He didn't notice it at all when he was in the cave. Kid, you're really not simple. You've comprehended the primal chaos domain and have a spacetime spirit mouse as your companion. A person like you can't be allowed to grow. Today, die. The skeletal old man sneered. A black light suddenly shot out from between his eyebrows. The black light was like a divine sword, shooting towards Lu Ming at an incredible speed. With a thought, Lu Ming's primal chaos domain spread out and blocked in front of Lu Ming. Chi! The black light shot into the primal chaos domain and made a chi-chi sound. But in the end, the primal chaos domain weakened a part of its power. The remaining part shot into Lu Ming's body and rushed towards the spirit god. Dong! The black light struck the jade armor on the spiritual deity, causing it to vibrate. In the end, the jade armor blocked the black light, but a small part of its power still passed through the armor and hit the soul. Lu Ming felt his soul tremble and a numbing itch came from it. What a strange attack. It directly attacks the soul. Fortunately, I have the jade armor and my soul force is extremely powerful. That's why I can block it. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Kid, not only do you have a spirit god defensive treasure, but your soul force is also extremely powerful. Then you deserve to die. When the skeletal old man saw that his attack couldn't do anything to Lu Ming, the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. Old man, you were seriously injured tens of thousands of years ago. You've been struggling at death's door for tens of thousands of years. You don't have much strength left. Why don't you find a place to heal? You're courting death. Dandan, who was on Lu Ming's other shoulder, shouted. Hee, even if this old man is seriously injured and has less than 100% of his strength left, killing you is more than enough. The old man sneered. His body emitted a layer of black light. His body began to become illusory, and the black light became brighter and brighter. Lu Ming's eyes were solemn as he focused 120% of his attention. Although the old man had been seriously injured a long time ago, he was still a genuine Saint Realm expert. No Saint Realm expert could be underestimated. Roar! The old man's body became more and more illusory. Finally, he turned into a huge pitch-black Grim Reaper, holding a Grim Reaper scythe. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. He thought of the underworld child of the divine wilderness continent. The underworld child's bloodline was a Grim Reaper that could harm the soul. Die! The Grim Reaper scythe slashed at Lu Ming. In front of him, the skeletal old man sneered. His eyes were filled with raging flames. Two black divine swords shot out from his eyes, stabbing at Lu Ming. Lightning, flame! Lu Ming shouted. The primal chaos domain turned into a sky full of lightning, forming a lightning domain. At the same time, the lightning domain burned with raging flames. The primal chaos domain could transform into tens of thousands of domains, except for some equally terrifying domains that could not be transformed. Lu Ming guessed that lightning and fire should be able to restrain the skeletal old man according to his cultivation technique. Sizzle, the Grim Reaper scythe and the two black divine swords bombarded the lightning and fire domains, producing sizzling sounds. At the same time, black smoke rose. It worked! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Break for me. Chapter 1469. Whoosh! Both the Death God Scythe and the Black Divine Sword became more powerful. They broke through Lu Ming's lightning fire domain and slashed toward Lu Ming. Chirp chirp, Bubble waved its claws and set up a space-time defense around Lu Ming. Although the skeletal old man's attack was mysterious, it was blocked by the space-time defense and its power was weakened. Then, it went through the defense of the black feather wings and hit the spiritual deity. Dong! The jade armor shook violently. The powerful force went through the jade armor and hit Lu Ming's soul. Lu Ming's face changed and he was forced to retreat. The old man's attack was indeed terrifying. Even though Lu Ming had the jade armor and his soul was dozens of times stronger than an ordinary person, he still felt a tearing pain. If it was an ordinary person, even with the jade armor, their soul would have been destroyed. Still not dead? Lu Ming was shocked, but he did not know that the skeletal old man was even more shocked. The old man's soul attack could even destroy the soul of a LV-7 Marshal Royal. However, Lu Ming, who was only a LV-1 Marshal Royal, had blocked it. This was an attack that the old man had launched regardless of his injuries. It was very harmful to his severely injured body. Kill! I must kill him. Otherwise, if he spreads the news that I am still alive, it will be troublesome. The skeletal old man shouted in his heart. He ignored his injuries and launched another attack. The Death God Scythe slashed down again. The skeletal old man in front of him threw out a huge palm print toward Lu Ming. This time, not only did he launch a soul attack, but he also launched an ordinary attack. Leave this to me. Dandan flew out and opened its mouth. An illusory world flew out and attacked the huge palm print. At the same time, Bubble attacked and many terrifying space-time blades slashed toward the old man. If you want to fight, let's fight to the death. Lu Ming's eyes flashed fiercely. He did not care about the Death God Scythe behind him. He flapped his wings and charged forward. He wanted to counterattack. His glabella shone and a shield appeared in front of him. It became as big as a mountain. Boom! The illusory world that Dandan spat out bore the brunt of the attack and collided with the gigantic palm print. The illusory world collapsed under the impact of the gigantic palm print. Thereafter, it faced the gigantic shield that Lu Ming had summoned. Dong! This shield was a saint weapon, indestructible. The palm print slammed into the shield, causing it to tremble and be sent flying. However, the palm print also disappeared. The palm print was neutralized. Bubble's spacetime blade continued to slash at her opponent. Lu Ming's eyes brightened. It seemed his opponent was truly weak to the extreme. Other than his soul attacks being a bit powerful, his ordinary attacks weren't strong at all. Kill! Lu Ming roared and punched with both fists. More than a dozen fists blasted towards the skeletal old man along with Bubble's spacetime blade. The skeletal old man's expression changed. His entire body was covered in a pitch-black light, and he continuously sent out palm prints. Boom! 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 A violent explosion sounded. After a terrifying collision, the skeletal old man's body floated back. At the same time, the death god's scythe also slashed Lu Ming, causing Lu Ming's soul to feel a tearing pain. However, Lu Ming gritted his teeth and withstood it. Kill! With a flap of his black wings, Lu Ming charged towards the skeletal old man in front of him. He stared at the skeletal old man, completely ignoring the death god's scythe's attack behind him. Swish! The black wings were like two heavenly blades, slashing towards the skeletal old man. At the same time, a long spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand and he swept it out. 13th strike. The emperor-level long spear vibrated 4 times in a row. 4 terrifying forces instantly erupted and blasted towards the skeletal old man. At the same time, Dandan and Bubbles' attacks also arrived, crushing their opponent at the same time. The skeletal old man roared and stretched out his bony claws, slapping out continuously. A terrifying collision erupted, and the force swept out in all directions. In the end, the skeletal old man was at a disadvantage and was sent flying. The black light on his body trembled for a while. Damn it, kid, I want you to die. The skeletal old man roared crazily, and the black light on his body burned like a flame. Behind him, the huge death god turned into a ray of light and merged into the skeletal old man's body. Boom! Following that, a terrifying aura spread out from the skeletal old man's body. It was like an immemorial divine mountain, pressing down on Lu Ming's body. This was the terrifying aura of a saint stage expert. Not good, this old man is going all out. Dandan exclaimed. Demonic soul blade kill. The skeletal old man roared, and the black light on his body condensed into a shocking giant blade, slashing towards Lu Ming. The giant blade slashed through the clouds in the sky, splitting them in half. This giant blade made Lu Ming feel a terrifying sense of danger. Buzz! The shield flew out and blocked in front of him. Then, Dandan and Bubble set up their defenses. Bam! 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 The giant blade slashed down, and the shield flew out. Then, Dandan and Bubble's defenses were shattered. The giant blade then slashed towards Lu Ming. The black wings closed in front of him, and above them, was shrouded in the chaotic domain. Clang! The giant blade slashed on the black wings, and the black wings shook violently. Lu Ming's body shook violently, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, Lu Ming's entire body smashed towards the ground like a meteorite. Boom! Lu Ming smashed heavily on the ground, creating a large crater. Nest, what a powerful force! Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. He felt the blood in his body churning, and several bones in his body were broken. The skeletal old man flew toward Lu Ming, holding an illusionary giant blade in his hand. A powerful aura shrouded Lu Ming, and the flames in his eyes burned fiercely. Lu Ming was more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. The martial arts he practiced were shocking, and he had many treasures, including a few sacred weapons. He did not look like a first-layer martial dominator at all. At the same time, he had a space-time spirit mouse and a little tortoise with him. He could not recognize them, but they were definitely shocking. Together, Lu Ming's vitality was too strong. Even if the skeletal old man was severely injured, he could still kill an ordinary first-layer martial dominator easily. However, Lu Ming was still alive. He had already used some forbidden techniques, regardless of his injuries, but Lu Ming was still alive. While the skeletal old man was shocked, he was even more determined to kill Lu Ming. What should I do? If this continues, I will be exhausted to death by this old man. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Oh right, the prison-suppressing boulder. Lu Ming's eyes flickered all of a sudden. It was obvious that the skeletal old man had practiced an unorthodox martial art. The prison-suppressing boulder was extremely effective against unorthodox and demonic martial arts. Lu Ming had almost forgotten about it. It was related to the fact that Lu Ming had refined his spiritual flesh after reaching the martial dominator realm. After Lu Ming had refined his spiritual flesh, he had subconsciously neglected the remaining two bloodlines. He had almost never used them. Chapter 1470. With a thought, the prison-suppressing steel floated out. Suppress. Lu Ming growled, and the prison-suppressing steel rapidly enlarged, suppressing the skeletal old man. The prison-suppressing steel. It's the prison-suppressing steel. Impossible. Wasn't the prison-suppressing steel shattered? The moment the skeletal old man saw the prison-suppressing steel, he let out a hysterical cry. His voice was filled with endless fear. Then, he turned and ran. When the skeletal old man saw the prison-suppressing steel, he didn't even dare to make a move and directly ran. Boom! The prison-suppressing steel shook, and the word below emitted a dazzling light. The prison-suppressing steel became as tall as the sky and instantly appeared above the skeletal old man's head, suppressing him. Ah! The skeletal old man screamed in horror, and a terrifying black light spread out from his body. At this moment, the skeletal old man's aura was extremely strong. He waved his hand, and a terrifying saber light slashed at the prison-suppressing steel. This saber was many times more powerful than the saber that he had slashed at Lu Ming previously. Lu Ming's expression was grave. The skeletal old man's saber was truly going all out. However, the prison-suppressing steel emitted a terrifying aura that could suppress everything in the world. When it came crashing down, the saber light that the skeletal old man slashed out instantly collapsed. Boom! Then, the prison-suppressing steel heavily pressed down on the skeletal old man's body. The skeletal old man screamed miserably, and his withered body directly exploded, turning into ashes. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. This was because he didn't activate the prison-suppressing steel at all. It was completely the prison-suppressing steel that killed the enemy automatically. Moreover, its power was shockingly strong, many times stronger than when Lu Ming activated it himself. The prison-suppressing steel could actually kill the enemy automatically and erupt with shocking power. Lu Ming found it unbelievable. Swoosh! At this moment, a black light flew out from the place where the skeletal old man's body exploded. Its speed was shockingly fast, as if it had shattered the void, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Brat, wait for the revenge of my evil spirit church. The skeletal old man's unpleasant voice came from afar. He's not dead yet. Lu Ming frowned. The skeletal old man's body was destroyed, but a wisp of his soul had escaped. Whing! The prison-suppressing steel trembled, as if it was angry. Then, it quickly shrank and flew back to Lu Ming's head, where it floated quietly. Lu Ming looked at the prison-suppressing steel curiously. It seemed that the prison-suppressing steel was not to be trifled with. Its origins were astonishing. Lu Ming had not displayed the true power of the prison-suppressing steel. What he had displayed was most likely just the tip of the iceberg. The prison-suppressing steel is actually attacking the enemy on its own. This has never happened before. Strange, could it be that the other party has cultivated some evil arts? But I've encountered people who cultivated the evil arts, the demonic arts, and even the ghostly arts before, but none of them have ever caused such a phenomenon. Lu Ming frowned as he pondered. He felt that the prison-suppressing steel shouldn't have attacked him just because the other party had cultivated an evil art. There must be some other reason, but Lu Ming still didn't know what it was. Back in the Godly Ruins Continent group, that big man from the Heavenly Divinity sect said that the Heavenly Divinity sect had a fragment of the prison-suppressing steel. It shouldn't be wrong. I must think of a way to get that fragment. Lu Ming thought to himself. However, the Heavenly Divinity sect was extremely powerful. Some people even said that the Heavenly Divinity sect's overall strength might be the strongest among the 13 top sects in the Tsang province. It would be extremely difficult to obtain the fragment of the prison-suppressing steel. Lu Ming suddenly looked in front of him, at the place where the skeletal old man's body had been destroyed. The skeletal old man didn't leave anything behind, not even a storage ring. But now, Lu Ming saw a piece of black paper floating down. Lu Ming's heart moved, and he kept the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. His body moved, and he appeared beside the paper, grabbing it in his hand. A secret skill. Lu Ming glanced at it and found that it was a secret skill recorded on the paper. Let's leave this place first. Lu Ming kept the paper, and with a flap of his black wings, he tore through the void and left this place. The battle just now might have attracted the attention of the nearby experts. A few 100,000 li away, Lu Ming found a secluded cave and entered it. Sitting in the cave, Lu Ming waved his hand and summoned a pile of origin stones. His devouring force burst out and devoured the origin chi of the origin stones, refining them and recovering his strength. A few hours later, Lu Ming's true chi had fully recovered. Furthermore, his true chi was flowing smoothly and had reached the peak of its refinement. I'm about to have a breakthrough. Lu Ming's face was filled with joy. Previously at the Dragon God Valley, he had refined 3 royal domain fruits. Both his domain and cultivation had reached the peak first layer martial dominator realm, only a step away from the second layer martial dominator realm. After a period of time and the battle with the skeletal old man, his potential had been suppressed, and he was finally about to have a breakthrough. Lu Ming's palm glowed as a heavenly Dao stone appeared, which flew toward Lu Ming's head and floated above Lu Ming's head, emitting streams of heavenly Dao aura. Lu Ming began to cultivate in silence. A few days later, a powerful devouring force was emitted from Lu Ming's body. The origin chi of the heavens and earth surged toward Lu Ming and was devoured by Lu Ming. At the same time, Lu Ming took out a pile of intermediate origin stones to assist his cultivation. As the origin stones were devoured, Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed. Second layer martial dominator realm. Lu Ming finally had a breakthrough. His chaotic domain was upgraded to the second layer martial dominator realm, while his cultivation had also reached the second layer martial dominator realm, greatly increasing his strength. However, Lu Ming did not stop cultivating. He continued to stabilize his cultivation. 3 days later, Lu Ming finally came to an end. His cultivation of the second layer martial dominator realm had thoroughly stabilized. Let's see what kind of secret technique the skeletal old man left behind. At this moment, Lu Ming took out the paper left behind by the skeletal old man and began to read it. The black paper was made of an unknown material. It was extremely tough and flexible. It felt as light as a feather when he held it in his hand. Lu Ming inserted his true chi into the paper. Lines of tiny words appeared on the paper. Secret soul attack technique, godly sword art. After a while, Lu Ming put down the paper with a hint of excitement in his eyes. What was written on this paper was a soul attack technique. According to what was written on it, cultivating this secret technique would allow one's soul to be tempered, and its strength would constantly increase. At the same time, one could use a special method to condense spiritual strength into a divine sword that could be used to attack another person's soul. Lu Ming could not help but recall the attack of the skeletal old man. The eyes of the skeletal old man had emitted a black glow, which was like a godly sword attacking one's soul. This was a priceless treasure. It was almost impossible to buy it in the outside world. It could refine one's soul and increase the strength of one's soul. It could also be used to attack one's soul. This was extremely suitable for Lu Ming. His soul had been refined by the world-refining calamity bell. It had been broken and then rebuilt. The strength of his soul was dozens of times stronger than an ordinary person's. If he cultivated the godly sword art, his soul attack would be extremely powerful. Chapter 1471. Time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, another 10 days had passed. Whoosh! Lu Ming, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes. 2 black rays of light shot out from his eyes. They were like 2 black divine swords that pierced forward. They flew a few hundred meters and disappeared into the walls of the cave. The divine sword art is so mysterious. I haven't mastered it yet. According to the records, when I master it to a high level, I can become invisible. With a shout, I can destroy the opponent's soul and kill them without leaving a trace. Lu Ming muttered. The more he cultivated, the more Lu Ming felt that the divine sword art was unfathomable. He recalled the time when the Feng family's patriarch had brought them to meet the skeletal old man. The skeletal old man had killed Duan Yen and Fu Xing with a single shout. It was likely that he had the ability to destroy their souls with a single shout. There was also the Feng family's second master and third master. They should have died because their souls were destroyed. That was why they didn't have any wounds on their bodies. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. The divine sword art would definitely become his trump card in the future. I have been in seclusion for more than half a month. It's time to go back. Lu Ming walked out of the cave and looked into the distance. What entered his eyes was a vast mountain range. He realized that he was lost. He didn't know where he was. Previously, when the skeletal old man was chasing him, he had randomly chosen a direction to escape. He didn't pay attention to where he was escaping to. I'll find a place with people and ask around. Lu Ming soared into the sky and disappeared. Half an hour later, a city appeared in front of him. Lu Ming flew into the city. Not long after, he flew out again. I never thought that I would be in the territory of the Sky Universe Demon Sect. Lu Ming muttered. Sky Universe Demon Sect. He thought of Xian Yanqing. Since I'm here, I should go and see Shaoqing. How is she doing? Why didn't she enter the Great Emperor's mystic realm? Lu Ming had a lot of questions in his heart. Then, he moved and flew in the direction of the Sky Universe Devil's Sect according to the information he had just obtained. Lu Ming flew at full speed. After more than a day, huge mountains came into view in front of him. Those were all demon mountains. Demonic mountains that were tens of thousands of feet tall pierced into the sky. This region was filled with surging demonic chi. This was the entrance to the Sky Universe Demon Sect. When Lu Ming flew closer, Lu Ming saw a shocking scene. In the depths of the Devil Mountains, there was a pillar of devil chi that towered up into the sky. It was incomparably large, even larger than most of the Devil Mountains. Could it be that the devil chi here was formed by that pillar of devil chi? Lu Ming muttered to himself as he continued flying. Stop! Suddenly, with a loud shout, two figures appeared in front of Lu Ming, blocking his path. The two young men were in their 20s. They wore black robes and carried demonic sabers on their backs. There was a demonic mark between their eyebrows. They were disciples of the Sky Universe Devil Sect. Halt! If you continue forward, you will reach the entrance of the Sky Universe Devil Sect. What business do you have here? One of the young men asked. Greetings to the two of you. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, I'm here to look for someone. Oh? Looking for someone? Looking for a disciple of the Sky Universe Devil Sect? Tell me, what's her name? Maybe I can help you ask. One of the young men said. Her name is Xian Yanqing. Have the two of you heard of her? Lu Ming said. What? You're looking for the saintess? The two young men's faces suddenly changed as they shouted in a low voice. Saintess? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. How did Xian Yanqing become the saintess of the Sky Universe Devil Sect? He remembered that after Xian Yanjuan joined the Heavenly God Sect, she became the saintess of the Heavenly God Sect. Could it be that Xian Yanqing also became the saintess of the Sky Universe Devil Sect? At this moment, countless thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Kid, leave now. Hurry up and leave. One of the young men on the left said coldly. Why? I'm really looking for Yanqing. Lu Ming said. How dare you? How dare you call the saintess by her name? Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? You're just a second-level martial royal realm cultivator and you want to get close to the saintess. Dream on. The young man on the left scolded. Lu Ming frowned and said, Guys, I'm an old friend of the saintess. I'm from the same place. From the same place? The two young men were stunned. The one on the right said, You're from the Divine Wilderness continent. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. The two young men looked at each other and one of them said, "Kid, you'd better not lie to us. Otherwise, you'll end up miserable. Also, you're from the same place as the Saintess. What's your relationship with her? The Saintess is very busy and needs to cultivate in seclusion. We can report this to the higher-ups. If we find out that you're lying, kid, you know the consequences." "I'm Yanqing's boyfriend," Lu Ming said after a slight hesitation. "What? How bold, kid, you're courting death." The two young men uttered furious roars and glared at Lu Ming with murderous intent. "Kid, you dare to disrespect the Saintess. You deserve to die. Who do you think you are? A mere ant dares to claim that you're the Saintess' boyfriend. You won't be leaving today." The two young men snapped as they drew out their demonic sabers. An icy aura encapsulated Lu Ming's figure. They both possessed a cultivation of the peak second-layer martial royal realm. Lu Ming frowned and said, "I'm telling the truth. You can report this to the Saintess and tell her that Lu Ming is here to see her. She'll know what I'm talking about. How bold of you to say such nonsense. Die!" The young man on the left yelled as he slashed at Lu Ming with the demonic saber in his hand. At the same time, the young man on the right slashed at Lu Ming's head with his demonic saber. It seemed like they were going to kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes flickered coldly as a long spear appeared in his hand and collided with the two demonic sabers. Clang! Clang! The demonic sabers vibrated as a terrifying force surged into them. The two young men's bodies shuddered violently as they were knocked backward. Only after retreating a few dozen steps and stepping on the void with a rumbling sound did he stabilize his body. "How bold of you to fight back. You're courting death. You won't be leaving this place today." The two young men yelled at Qin Nan. "The two of you," Lu Ming asked nicely, "and everything he said is true. Yet, you want to kill me. This is outrageous," Lu Ming said coldly. If they weren't at the Heavenly Demon Sect, they would have been killed by the previous attack if they wanted to kill Lu Ming. "What do you mean by telling the truth?" "Bullshit. You're insulting the Saintess," one of them yelled. Whoosh! At that instant, a demonic glow flickered as another young man appeared. "What's going on?" The young man placed his hands behind him. His gaze was sharp, and his aura was several times stronger than the two young men guarding the entrance. "Senior brother Jinyu, you're just in time. Here comes a pervert who dares to claim that he's the boyfriend of the Saintess Xian Yanqing," one of the young men yelled. "What?" The young man with the name Jinyu wore an icy expression as a murderous intent was emitted from his body, encapsulating Lu Ming's figure. "An ant dares to claim that you're the boyfriend of the Saintess. You're dead meat." Jinyu stepped forward as his powerful aura suppressed Lu Ming's figure. Peak 4th Layer Martial Dominator Realm. Chapter 1472. "Kid, kneel down now and slap yourself 200 times, and I'll leave your corpse intact." Jinyu stared at Lu Ming in a condescending manner. "Ridiculous, Nianqing and I are in a relationship. We've known each other for many years. Why would you say that?" Lu Ming said coldly. How could Lu Ming avoid such a question? He could tell that these young men had different thoughts about Xian Yanqing. Therefore, he would not avoid it. He wanted everyone to know that Xian Yanqing was Lu Ming's girlfriend. "Die!" Jinyu yelled and slammed his palm down. Bang! A huge fiend palm print pressed down on Lu Ming with a loud bang. Its power was shocking. Previously, the patriarch of the Feng clan had also been a peak 4th layer martial dominator, but his aura was nothing compared to Jinyu's. Evidently, this person was a heaven's chosen. "Break!" Lu Ming murmured as he stabbed forward with his spear. 13th strike. Whoosh! A spear glow tore through the sky and stabbed at the demonic palm print. Four streams of energy burst out from the tip of the spear and penetrated the demonic palm print, causing it to dissipate into demonic chi. "A mere 2nd layer martial dominator has some strength, but you're still going to die." Jin Yu's eyes were cold as his aura grew stronger. His demonic chi burned like flames. Stop it! At that instant, a crisp voice could be heard. Jin Yu was startled. He turned around and his expression changed drastically. He bowed and said, "Greetings, Saintess." "Greetings, Saintess." The two young men from before bowed as well. "Saintess?" Lu Ming glanced in the direction of the voice. A woman was flying toward them. She was wearing a long black dress. Her figure was graceful and her skin was fair. She was extremely beautiful. However, she was not Xian Yanqing, but an unfamiliar woman. Clearly, there was more than one saintess in the Sky Universe Demon sect. This was very normal. Many sects would have titles such as Holy Maiden, Holy Sun, Zongzi, etc. These people were the most talented geniuses of a sect, and they had the potential to inherit the position of sect leader in the future. However, there would usually be more than one such person. Some sects had 2, 3, or even more. Every single one of them was extremely talented, and they competed with each other. Only the strongest would be able to inherit the position of sect master. The woman stepped into the air and arrived in front of Lu Ming. "What's going on?" "Saintess Lu Yu, an audacious pervert has come here. He dares to claim that he is Saintess Nianqing's boyfriend. I'm going to kill him," Jin Yu said respectfully. Although his cultivation was not bad, he was respectful and fearful in front of Lu Yu. "Nianqing's boyfriend? Interesting." Lu Yu's eyes flashed and an inexplicable smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. She looked at Lu Ming and said, "Are you really Nianqing's boyfriend?" "That's right. Whether it's real or fake, we'll know once we see Nianqing," Lu Ming said. "Okay, I'll believe you this time. But you have to know that if you lie, the Sky Demon sect will be your burial ground." There was a trace of killing intent in Lu Yu's eyes. "I'm just a LV2 Martial Royal Realm cultivator. How dare I?" Lu Ming smiled. "Okay, I'll take you to see Nianqing," Lu Yu said. "Saintess," Jin Yu's face changed. "Shut up. Do you have a problem with my decision?" Lu Yu glanced at Jin Yu coldly. Jin Yu broke out in a cold sweat and quickly lowered his head, not daring to say anything. "Let's go." Lu Yu stepped into the air and walked toward the depths of the Sky Demon sect. Lu Ming followed behind Lu Yu. On the way, some people looked at Lu Ming in surprise, but when they saw that it was Lu Yu who led the way, no one said anything. After crossing many demon mountains, the demon chi in front of them became denser and denser. Soon, they arrived at an incomparably huge demonic mountain and landed in front of a huge palace. "This is Nianqing's residence," Lu Yu said. There was a trace of anticipation in Lu Ming's eyes. He hadn't seen Xian Nianqing for more than half a year. He wondered if she was doing well since they parted ways on the continent of God. "Saintess Lu Yu, may I know why you're here?" A middle-aged woman appeared in front of Lu Yu and bowed slightly. "Please tell her that an old friend is here to see Nianqing," Lu Yu said softly. "An old friend?" The middle-aged woman looked at Lu Ming and said, "Is he the one?" "Yes, this is Lu Ming. He said that he's Nianqing's boyfriend." Lu Yu smiled. "The Saintess's boyfriend?" The middle-aged woman's face suddenly changed. She said, "He's just a LV2 Martial Royal Realm cultivator." "Saintess Lu Yu, are you mistaken? This is the Sky Demon sect. I don't think he dares to lie. Whether he's right or wrong, just tell Nianqing to come out and see him," Lu Yu said. The middle-aged woman's eyes flickered. She pondered for a moment and said, "All right, I'll tell the Saintess." Saying this, the middle-aged woman turned around and went into the palace. A moment later, a figure came out from the palace and appeared in front of Lu Ming. "Lu Ming, is that really you?" A surprised voice could be heard. A glamorous figure stood in front of Lu Ming and observed him carefully. "Nianqing." Lu Ming wore a smile on his face. It had been more than half a year since they last met. he finally saw Xian Yanqing in Yuanlu. It had been half a year since they last met, but Xian Yanqing was still as beautiful as ever. In fact, the devilish glow she exuded was even more intense than before. She exuded a unique charm that would cause the hearts of those who saw her to palpitate. Lu Yu, who was standing beside Xian Yanqing, was also beautiful. However, when she stood next to Xian Yanqing, she was subconsciously outshone. The others' gazes naturally shifted from Lu Yu to Xian Yanqing. Lu Yu's eyes flashed with jealousy, but she smiled and said, "Junior sister Yanqing, it seems like he's telling the truth when he says he's your boyfriend." "That's right." Xian Yanqing nodded. "Ha ha ha, then I'll have to congratulate junior sister Yanqing. But I'm a little curious. Your boyfriend's cultivation is too low. He's only a second-layer martial emperor." At this point, Lu Yu stopped. Her tone was filled with a hint of mockery. "In my opinion, Lu Ming's talent is much stronger than yours. It won't be long before he surpasses you. All right, senior sister, please go back." Xian Yanqing said coldly, as if he didn't get along well with Lu Yu. "Ha ha ha, junior sister, I'll take my leave first." Lu Yu smiled and left in the air. "Lu Ming, come with me." Xian Yanqing pulled Lu Ming's hand and entered the palace. There was an elegant courtyard behind the palace. Xian Yanqing leaned on Lu Ming's shoulder. Lu Ming took the opportunity to hug Xian Yanqing's slender waist and kissed Xian Yanqing's rosy lips. The place was filled with tenderness. After a long while, their lips parted. The two snuggled up to each other and poured out their hearts. "Shao Qing, how did you become the saintess of the Sky Demon sect?" Chapter 1473. After I came to the Heavenly Universe Demon sect, I accidentally got into a conflict with someone and had a big fight. Unexpectedly, my master took a fancy to me. My master is the sect leader of the Heavenly Universe Demon sect. She took me in as a pro-disciple. Later on, I was tested to have a rare innate demon body. Therefore, I was made the saintess of the Heavenly Universe Demon sect. Xian Yanqing explained. Innate demon body, is it a type of innate spiritual body? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. That was possible. After all, the cultivation level in the Divine Wilderness continent was too low. Some heaven-defying talents could not be discovered or discovered. However, it was different in the Yuanlu continent. Moreover, there were many types of innate spiritual bodies. For example, Yin Feng's innate spiritual body was the worst among the innate spiritual bodies. After breaking through to the martial emperor realm, he could only transform into an inferior earth spiritual body. Some strong innate spiritual bodies could transform into a medium earth spiritual body or even a superior earth spiritual body or even stronger. Xian Yanqing's innate demon body was probably extraordinary. Therefore, she was made the saintess of the Heavenly Universe Demon sect. Moreover, Lu Ming realized that Xian Yanqing's cultivation was higher than his. She had reached the peak of level 3 Martial Emperor realm and was only a step away from level 4 Martial Emperor realm. Lu Ming finally understood why Xian Yanqing did not go to the Great Emperor Mystic realm. It was very likely that Xian Yanqing had already broken through to the Martial Emperor realm and could not enter the Great Emperor Mystic realm. Following that, Lu Ming briefly explained his experience along the way. "Shao Qing, that Lu Yu doesn't seem to get along with you?" Lu Ming asked. "That's right. She and I are both saintesses and are qualified to compete for the position of the future sect leader of the Heavenly Universe Demon sect. She brought you to see me because she wants to damage my reputation. She doesn't have good intentions," Xian Yanqing explained. Although there was no rule in the Sky Universe Demon sect that forbade the Holy Maiden from associating with others, it was generally hoped that the Holy Maiden would try her best not to associate with others before she broke through to the Saint realm because it would distract her. Lu Yu had purposely brought Lu Ming here to find Xian Yanqing to let others know that Xian Yanqing had a boyfriend and that they were dating. This way, the higher-ups of the Sky Universe Devil sect would have a bad impression of Xian Yanqing, and their chances of competing for the position of sect master would be lower. This was the reason why Lu Yu had brought Lu Ming in. Xian Yanqing's lips curled into a smile as he said, if she wants to compete for the position of sect master, then let her. After all, I don't care about the position of sect master. Xiao Qing, regardless of whether you have a heart or not, you still have to be careful in the future. Lu Ming asked with concern. Yes, I know. Xian Yanqing nodded. The two continued to chat for a while. Meanwhile, the news that a strange man with a cultivation of the second-layer martial dominator realm was the boyfriend of the holy maiden Xian Yanqing was spread across the Sky Universe demon sect, causing a great uproar. A second-layer martial emperor trash is the holy virgin's boyfriend? This is ridiculous. A toad lusting after a swan's flesh. I'll let him know that he's not worthy of the holy maiden. Voices filled with anger and jealousy could be heard from the mouths of the young men. That being said, Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming were unaware of this. The two continued to be intimate with each other. A few hours later. Lu Ming, it's rare for you to come to the Sky Universe Demon Sect. I'll show you around. There are some nice places in the Sky Universe Demon Sect. Xian Yanqing said. Sure. Lu Ming nodded. The two came out from the palace and walked in the air while holding hands, taking a stroll in the Sky Universe Demon Sect. However, before long, they were stopped by a young man. How dare you take advantage of the holy maiden? You deserve to die. The young man roared. His eyes were burning with jealousy when he saw Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing holding hands. Xian Yanqing was a legend in the Sky Universe Demon Sect. She came from a small continent and was recruited by the Sky Universe Demon Sect's envoy. As soon as she arrived, she was chosen by the Sky Universe Demon sect leader as a core disciple. Later, it was found that she had a rare innate demon body and was named the Holy Maiden. Moreover, Xian Yanqing was a kingdom-toppling beauty. Compared to Xian Yanqing, some of the beauties in the Sky Universe Devil sect paled in comparison. Therefore, Xian Yanqing became the goddess in the eyes of many young men in the Sky Universe Demon sect. However, Xian Yanqing's personality was cold and aloof. She treated everyone with a cold expression and had a strange temper. There wasn't a single handsome young man who could make her smile. But now, Xian Yanqing's boyfriend had suddenly appeared, and he was even holding hands with Xian Yanqing. This caused the youth to almost explode from anger. He was so jealous that he wanted to vomit blood. Get lost! A cold voice came from Xian Yanqing's mouth. Holy maiden, this person is trash. You have to think twice. Don't be fooled. The young man roared. Get lost. You only have 3 breaths of time. Xian Yanqing said coldly, and a terrifying aura spread out from her body. The young man's face turned ugly. He gave Lu Ming a warning look and then turned to leave. Little Qing, it seems that you are very popular in the Sky Universe Demon Sect. Lu Ming muttered. Xian Yanqing rolled her eyes at Lu Ming and smiled. If the young men in the Sky Universe Demon Sect saw Xian Yanqing's expression, they would be dumbfounded. What's wrong? Are you jealous? Are you feeling pressured? I have many suitors in the Sky Universe Demon Sect. There are even geniuses from other sections. Some of them are even at the peak of the Martial King realm. Xian Yanqing blinked her big eyes and looked at Lu Ming. I am a little jealous. However, I don't feel pressured. These people are nothing in my eyes. In a few years, they will not be my opponents. Lu Ming smiled confidently. You are so shameless. Xian Yanqing said with a smile, his face brimming with happiness. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly looked in front of him. In front of him, rays of light streaked across the sky. Even though they were far away, Lu Ming could see that they were young men flying towards him angrily. Lu Ming's lips curled up and he said, Since you said that I am shameless, I will show you how shameless I am. After saying this, Lu Ming directly hugged Xian Yanqing's slender waist and pulled Xian Yanqing into his arms. How dare you? Let go of your stinky hands. Despicable ant, how dare you? I'm going to cripple your hands. Let go. Several young men appeared in front of Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. When they saw Lu Ming hugging Xian Yanqing, their eyes almost spat fire. Their faces turned red, and they could not wait to devour Lu Ming. Damn it, the sacred and noble saintess was being hugged by this guy. Upon having this thought, they could not wait to tear Lu Ming into pieces. All of you, piss off. It's none of your business. Xian Yanqing snapped coldly. Saintess, you are still young. Don't be fooled by this guy. That's right. You have a peerless talent. You should find a guy with the same talent. For example, I am only a second-layer martial dominator trash. The young men spoke one after another. Yeah. Chapter 1474. Yeah sneered as he watched from the crowd. At this moment, he stepped out and shouted, Lu Ming, I know that you and the Holy Lady came from the same small mainland and have known each other since a long time ago. However, in that small mainland, the Holy Lady was like a pearl covered in dust and her talents were not discovered. Therefore, your cultivation seems to be worthy of the Holy Lady. However, the Saintess' talent has been revealed and she is now from a different world from you. The difference between you and the Saintess is too great. If you know what's good for you, leave the Saintess. Don't waste her time. There was a cold smile at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. In other words, you're saying that you're very powerful and talented? Of course, how can you compare yourself to us? Someone replied with a sneer. Hee hee. Lu Ming let out a disdainful smile and said, Lu Ming, came from a desolate continent, the divine desolation continent. I'm 26 years old now and I'm a second-layer martial royal realm cultivator. What about you? You call yourselves geniuses from the Yuanlu continent. With such a good environment and cultivation at your age, what gives you the right to act all high and mighty in front of me? If you give me a few years, I'll surely trample all of you under my feet. Lu Ming's powerful voice spread far and wide, causing the young geniuses of the Heavenly Universe Demon sect to wear unpleasant expressions. How presumptuous, who do you think you are? How dare you say you can trample all of us under your feet? You're a tyrant on a desolate island and you think you can do the same in the Yuanlu continent? You're overestimating yourself. The young geniuses scolded loudly. One of them stepped forward and yelled furiously, Kid, I'm also a second-layer martial royal realm cultivator. Do you dare to fight me? If you want to fight, let's fight. Lu Ming let go of Xian Yanqing and stepped forward. Kid, even if we're at the same level, I'll let you know what true strength is. I'll defeat you in 10 moves. The young man yelled coldly as a demonic aura soared into the sky. He looked like a demon god as he waved his hands and a terrifying demonic light slashed at Lu Ming. Get lost! Lu Ming's eyes glistened as he took a step forward. 9 Dragons Heaven Stomping Steps. Now, Lu Ming had already cultivated the 9 Dragons Heaven Stomping Steps to perfection. A casual step was like 9 dragons walking in the sky, and its power was terrifying. Boom! Lu Ming took a step forward, causing the void to tremble. A dragon roar shook the 9 heavens, and 9 dragons flew out from under Lu Ming's feet. His opponent's demonic light was immediately shattered by the 9 dragons, which then crashed heavily into his opponent's body. The other party let out a blood-curdling scream as the bones in his body crackled. His body was sent flying, and he coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. He flew for over 1,000 meters before finally coming to a halt. Defeated in 1 move. How is this possible? He muttered to himself. It was simply unbearable. Just a moment ago, he was acting all high and mighty. He wanted to teach a lesson to Lu Ming, an ant from an uncivilized island, with the title of Yuanlu's genius. He even said that even if they were on the same level, he would let Lu Ming know what true battle prowess was. He would defeat Lu Ming in 10 moves. But now, he had been defeated by Lu Ming in a single move. Compared to what he had just said, he was so ashamed that he wished he could find a crack and hide in it. The faces of the other young men of the Sky Universe Demon sect changed. The young man from before had an inferior earthly spiritual body. His battle prowess could easily crush other cultivators of the same level, but he had been defeated by Lu Ming in a single move. This made them re-evaluate Lu Ming. Who else wants to fight me? My cultivation is at the early stage of the second layer Martial Royal Realm. Those of the fourth layer Martial Royal Realm or below can fight me. If you can defeat me, I'll leave right away. Lu Ming glanced at the crowd as his voice echoed from afar. What? Cultivators of the fourth layer of the Martial Emperor Realm and below are allowed to fight. Arrogant beyond belief. You're overestimating yourself. The young men of the Sky Universe Demon Sect yelled furiously. Lu Ming had said that those of the fourth layer Martial Royal Realm or below from the Sky Universe Demon Sect could fight him. He was only at the early stage of the second layer Martial Royal Realm, but he dared to say that he could fight the fourth layer Martial Royal Realm geniuses of the Sky Universe Demon Sect. Kid, don't think you're so great just because you defeated someone of the same level. I'll fight you. A young man yelled furiously as he stepped forward. A powerful aura burst out from him, forming a demonic cloud that covered the sky. This person's cultivation was at the third layer Martial Royal Realm. Bang! 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 Lu Ming was straightforward. He took a step forward and executed the 9 Dragons Heaven Trampling steps again. Each of Lu Ming's steps caused the sky to rumble as if a giant was walking in the sky. In an instant, 9 giant dragons danced in the air as they lunged toward his opponent. Break! His opponent yelled as he threw out dozens of punches in a row. Rays of pitch-black fist radiance shot toward Lu Ming. However, when the 9 dragons collided, the fist radiance collapsed. Bang! Just like the previous one, the young man was sent flying by the 9 dragons. He let out a cry of agony as he spat out mouthfuls of blood. Another move. Just like the previous young man, he was defeated with a single move. There seemed to be no difference between the third layer Martial Royal Realm and the second layer Martial Royal Realm. The only difference was that Lu Ming had taken a few more steps. The young men of the Sky Universe Demon Sect exchanged glances with one another. How could Lu Ming's strength be so terrifying? Was he really someone from the desolated island? Xian Yanqing smiled from behind. Lu Ming was getting stronger. Humph, maybe he used all his strength in that move. He's just putting up a strong front. A cold voice came from the crowd. It was Emojia. Many people's eyes flickered. Maybe that was the case. Perhaps, Lu Ming's earlier move seemed simple, but it was very likely that he had unleashed all his power at once and unleashed all his trump cards. That was why he was able to defeat his opponent in one move and obtain victory. Maybe Lu Ming's strength had reached its limit. That must be it. Many people thought so. Otherwise, how could a lowly ant from a desolate island have such strong combat strength? How could they endure this? Emojia, do you dare to come out and fight me? Lu Ming stared at Emojia and said coldly. Emojia's face darkened. In the Great Emperor Mystic Realm, he had indeed fought with Lu Ming and was no match for Lu Ming. Emojia, go. Let this kid know the true power of the Sky Universe Demon Sect's genius. That's right. With your strength, it'll be easy to take him down. The other young men of the Sky Universe Demon Sect said, causing Emojia's face to darken. What? You don't dare to fight me? Why don't you just admit defeat? Also, all of you, get lost. Lu Ming sneered. Arrogant. Emojia, teach him a good lesson. A young man was enraged. Bang! Bang! Emojia stepped out and stared coldly at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, times have changed. Now, I can defeat you. Boom! A powerful aura exploded from Emojia's body. Peak Level 3 Martial Royal Realm. Chapter 1475. For someone like Emojia, he had suppressed his cultivation when he was a sovereign. Once he broke through to the Martial Royal Realm, his cultivation would improve by leaps and bounds. However, after reaching the peak of LV3 Martial Royal Realm, His previous accumulation had almost been exhausted. His future progress would slow down. However, this was enough to make Jia confident. His cultivation was almost 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's. With every step Jia took, his aura became stronger. His demonic body was glowing and there was demonic chi flowing around it. Jia has a rare medium earth spiritual body and his cultivation has reached the peak of LV3 martial royal realm. He can easily suppress this kid. Yes, I wonder how many moves this kid can take from Jia. Some of the youths from the Sky Demon sect began to discuss. Jia, you are very confident. But I hope you won't end up like the previous two. Lu Ming smiled faintly. The previous 2 youths were also full of confidence, but in the end, they were defeated miserably. Dark Demon Fist. Jia suddenly roared. His body moved like lightning and he pounced on Lu Ming. Then, he threw a punch at Lu Ming. Wherever the fist passed, the void trembled and a terrifying storm was formed. Good. Lu Ming smiled faintly and threw out a punch. Dong! Their fists collided heavily with each other. It was as if 2 giant hammers had collided in the air. Demonic chi surged. When the 2 fists collided, Jia's face changed. He groaned and his body trembled as he was sent flying far away. What? The other youths from the Sky Demon sect opened their eyes wide. Jia had been defeated in a head-on confrontation. Jia had a medium earth spiritual body and his body was extremely strong. However, he had been defeated by Lu Ming with a single punch. Could it be that Lu Ming also had a medium earth spiritual body? A medium earth spiritual body was considered a rare spiritual body in the 13 top sects in the Tsang continent. Dark Demon Seal. Jia retreated 100 meters with a gloomy face. He looked up to the sky and roared. Demonic chi burst out from his body like a raging flame. Everything within 100 meters was covered by demonic chi. A huge palm print formed in the sky. It seemed to cover the sky and the sun as it blasted toward Lu Ming. It was terrifyingly powerful. Jia's battle prowess was indeed very strong. He was much stronger than the 3rd-layer martial emperor from before. Both the strength of his spiritual body and the use of domain martial techniques were shocking. An ordinary peak 3rd-layer martial king would not be able to withstand a single attack from Jia. However, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. Whoosh! Lu Ming shot up into the air, surrounded by his primal chaos domain, and unleashed the hell-suppressing heaven art. Lu Ming's body appeared extremely small in front of Jia's demonic palm. However, when Lu Ming's fist landed on the demonic palm immediately collapsed. Lu Ming stepped through the devilish chi and walked towards Jia. His cold voice rang out, Jia, is this all you've got? What a disappointment. Impossible. Jia roared. That move just now was the combination of his spiritual body and domain martial skill. It could be said that he had pushed his combat strength to the peak. However, in front of Lu Ming, it couldn't even withstand a single blow. 9 dragons in the sky. Lu Ming took a step forward and his figure instantly appeared above Jia's head. He took 9 consecutive steps and 9 dragons roared and danced in the air, flying toward Jia. Get lost! Jia roared furiously. His demonic body glowed and his domain covered his entire body. He threw out a palm and a palm print blasted on the 9 dragons, sending them flying. However, Lu Ming had already appeared in front of Jia and threw out a punch. Bang! Jia was sent flying and vomited blood. His chest was caved in. Defeated, Jia was defeated. Everyone could see that if Lu Ming had not shown mercy, Jia would have died. Everyone looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming's combat strength was too terrifying. Jia, who had a medium earth spiritual body, was defeated by Lu Ming even though his cultivation was higher. He was easily defeated by Lu Ming. Could it be that Lu Ming had a high earth spiritual body? Many people's hearts trembled as they thought of this possibility. Impossible. Immediately, they shook their heads in their hearts. There were not many high-earth spiritual bodies in the entire Tsang state. Every one of them was a genius with unparalleled combat strength. They were invincible figures among the younger generation. How could Lu Ming have a high-earth spiritual body? In fact, Lu Ming did not have a high-earth spiritual body but a medium-earth spiritual body. However, Lu Ming had gone through the world-refining Calamity Bell and there was a trace of chaotic qi in his body. This made Lu Ming's physical body much stronger than others of the same level. Although his current spiritual body was a medium-earth spiritual body, its power and strength were comparable to a high-earth spiritual body. In addition, Lu Ming had broken through to the second-level martial royal realm and his chaotic domain had broken through to the second level. His combat strength had greatly increased and he was much stronger than when he was in the Great Emperor Mystic Realm. Although the chaotic domain was difficult to cultivate and it was difficult to improve, the increase in power was terrifying with every breakthrough. Damn it! Mo Jia roared in his heart as he looked at Lu Ming with a gloomy expression. However, Lu Ming ignored him. He looked around and said, "Who else wants to fight?" The remaining youths of the Sky Universe Demon Sect looked at each other with ghastly expressions. Even Mo Jia had been defeated. Who else could fight him? Mo Jia had a medium-earth spiritual body and his combat strength was strong. It would not be easy for an average 4th-level martial royal realm genius with an inferior earth spiritual body to defeat Mo Jia. However, Lu Ming had defeated him. Therefore, an average 4th-level martial royal realm genius with an inferior earth spiritual body would not be able to defeat Lu Ming. Only a 4th-level martial royal realm genius with a medium earth spiritual body would be able to defeat him. However, there were not many medium earth spiritual bodies and none of them were present. Moreover, many of the youth's cultivation had surpassed the 4th-level martial royal realm and had reached the 5th or 6th-level martial royal realm. If news of him bullying Lu Ming, a 2nd-level martial emperor, with such a cultivation level, the younger generation of the Heavenly Universe Demon Sect would become a laughingstock. For a moment, no one spoke. "Let me have a go at you." At this moment, a voice was heard. In the distance, a light flashed and a young figure appeared. "Senior Brother Jinyu, it's Senior Brother Jinyu." "Great, Senior Brother Jinyu is going to fight. Victory is in our hands. Let's see how arrogant that kid is." Many people of the Sky Universe Demon Sect were overjoyed when they saw the young man. "It's him." Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. This young man was the one who had attacked Lu Ming when he had first arrived at the mountain gate of the Sky Universe Demon Sect. However, he had been interrupted by Lu Yu. This young man's cultivation was at the peak of the 4th-level martial royal realm. Jinyu looked at Lu Ming coldly and said, "Kid, you escaped before. It's the same for me to deal with you now." His voice was cold and arrogant, as if he was superior. His cultivation was at the peak of the 4th-level martial royal realm and a terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and the true essence in his body circulated wildly to resist Jinyu's aura. Boom! Chapter 1476. In the face of Jinyu, Lu Ming had to be cautious and did not dare to be careless. Jinyu gave Lu Ming a strong pressure. A 4th-level martial emperor could be called a mid-level martial emperor. His combat strength was far beyond that of a 3rd-level martial emperor. Moreover, Jinyu's spiritual body was definitely not simple. One could tell from the expressions of the other Sky Demon Sect disciples. Dark Feather. Jinyu stretched out a hand and pressed against the void. His domain spread out. The domain that was filled with demonic qi continued to expand and spread toward Lu Ming. The domain was filled with endless demonic qi. There were even feathers that were like swords dancing in the air. Its senior brother Jin Yu's Dark Feather domain. It said that senior brother Jin Yu's domain has reached the 5th level. Someone exclaimed. Dark Feather domain, what a wonderful domain. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. There were thousands of domains in the world and it was possible to see any domain. Some geniuses comprehended a variety of intents when they were below the martial emperor realm. Then, after breaking through to the martial emperor realm, they might produce some wonderful domains. For example, some people comprehended wind and fire intents before reaching the martial emperor realm. After breaking through to the martial emperor realm, they might be able to condense a wind and fire domain, which was more powerful than a single domain. Jean Yu's dark feather domain was obviously a hybrid domain. Moreover, it was at the 5th level, which was beyond his cultivation level. Its power was absolutely amazing. Chaotic. Lu Ming's heart moved. He also pressed his palm against the void and the chaotic domain spread out rapidly. He wanted to use the chaotic domain to fight against Jean Yu's dark feather domain. This kid is really overestimating himself. He actually wants to use his domain to fight against senior brother Jean Yu's domain. Watch, he's about to lose. Senior brother Jean Yu's dark feather domain is at the 5th level, and he's only at the 2nd level. He's going to collapse in an instant. He won't be able to hold on for more than a breath. On the side, some youths sneered. Was it possible for a 2nd-level domain to fight against a 5th-level domain? Buzz! The two domains collided, causing the void to tremble. Then, the two domains intertwined and fiercely resisted. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths, in the blink of an eye, 10 breaths. Their domains were still entangled with each other, fighting fiercely. Some of the youths from the Sky Universe Devil Sect stiffened. Their eyes widened as they stared at Lu Ming. The 2nd-level domain was actually able to contend against the 5th-level domain of the demonic feather. It seemed that it would be hard to determine the winner for a while. How was this possible? What kind of domain was this? Why was it so terrifying? What's so great about a level 5 domain expert? Break! At this time, Lu Ming suddenly said coldly and pressed down with one hand again. Wang! The primal chaos domain trembled, becoming millions and millions of June heavy, suppressing everything. Boom! Jean Yu's expression changed drastically. His demonic feather domain collapsed with a bang. His body trembled and he involuntarily retreated 3 steps. The others were dumbfounded. Jean Yu's face was extremely gloomy. In a clash of domains, he had actually lost. He was no match for Lu Ming. His 5th-level domain was actually no match for Lu Ming's 2nd-level domain. This made him want to kill Jean Yu. Originally, he wanted to perform well in front of Xian Yanqing and easily trample on Lu Ming. He wanted to show Xian Yanqing how weak Lu Ming was. He wanted to show Xian Yanqing that he was a true genius. But now, his 5th-level domain was no match for Lu Ming's 2nd-level domain. It could be said that he had lost face. Boom! Demonic chi surged from Jean Yu's body and a terrifying demonic true origin spread out from his body. Kid, a domain is only one of the martial artist's combat strength. It does not represent all of their combat strength. Now, I will show you what true combat strength is. Jean Yu shouted. His spiritual body shone and demonic chi surged. A demonic saber flew out from between Jean Yu's eyebrows and he held it in his hand. Ridiculous. A domain does not represent all of one's combat strength. If you have the ability, suppress your cultivation to LV2 Martial Royal Realm and I will defeat you in one move. Lu Ming's voice was filled with mockery. Jean Yu had wanted to use his domain to suppress Lu Ming. After his domain was no match for Lu Ming, he said that a domain did not represent all of one's combat strength. How ridiculous was that? Humph! Jean Yu snorted and his face turned even colder. The demonic saber in his hand slashed down. A saber gleam pierced through the sky. It was unknown how long it was, but it slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming circulated his true origin to the maximum and his muscles bulged. Strands of chaotic chi flowed through his muscles, increasing the strength of his spiritual body. Roar! A dragon's roar came from Lu Ming's body. Then, Lu Ming rushed up and the chaotic domain exploded as he threw out a punch. Boom! This punch landed on Jin Yu's saber gleam. There was an earth-shattering boom. Lu Ming's body shook violently and the chaotic domain shook violently. His body was sent flying with a swoosh. So strong! Lu Ming retreated 1,000 meters away and felt a burning pain on his fist. At the same time, the blood in his body was boiling. Jin Yu's spiritual body was definitely a medium earth spiritual body like Emojia. His cultivation was at the peak of the 4th layer martial royal realm and his combat strength was shocking. For geniuses like Jin Yu, he could easily kill cultivators of the 5th layer of the martial emperor realm, or even stronger. That kid is no match for him. Many people laughed. Finally, Lu Ming was no match for Jin Yu. They let out a long breath and felt relieved. They had been suppressed by Lu Ming before and they had been too sullen. Lu Ming. Behind them, Xian Yanqing revealed a worried expression. 1,000-crack demonic saber. Jin Yu pushed Lu Ming back with one strike. Seizing the opportunity, the demonic saber slashed toward Lu Ming once again. The energy of the air-frozen bead flowed into Lu Ming's body and he used the wind origin technique. His body flashed and he dodged Jin Yu's saber light without leaving a trace. Jin Yu frowned and slashed his saber again. This time, there were 3 saber lights that blocked Lu Ming's 3 escape routes. However, Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. Those with weaker cultivation could barely see Lu Ming's shadow. He dodged the 3 saber lights one by one. Slash, slash! Jin Yu roared. This time, he slashed out 7 rays of saber light in a single breath. Unfortunately, it was useless as Lu Ming dodged them one by one. Damn it, kid, what's the point of dodging? If you have the ability, fight senior brother Jin Yu head on. That's right, you only know how to dodge. What's the point? Some of the young men shouted unhappily. Ridiculous, when did you hear that a martial artist's movement is not a part of his combat strength? Lu Ming sneered. Those people's faces turned red. Indeed, movement was an important part of one's combat strength. Attack, movement, and defense were all part of one's strength. What was the use of brute force if you couldn't hit your opponent? You can't escape. Chapter 1477. Swoosh! 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 Lu Ming's body flickered as he dodged the blade radiance. He then rushed towards Jin Yu. Good timing. There was a cold murderous intent in Jin Yu's eyes. The demonic feather realm spread out. In the realm, there were saber gleams slashing toward Lu Ming. Seal! Lu Ming suddenly spat out a word. Buzz! 5 light doors suddenly appeared above Jin Yu's head. The 5 sealed doors emitted a dazzling light as they pressed down on Jin Yu. At this moment, Jin Yu's movements stiffened as he was shrouded by the sealed door's sealing power. He was greatly affected. Break for me! Jin Yu roared as blade radiance pierced through the air. 5 blade radiance slashed towards the 5 sealed doors. The 5 sealed doors vibrated violently. Boom! 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 Following that, the 5 sealed gates exploded with a loud bang. However, this momentary seal was enough for Lu Ming. Divine Sword Art. Lu Ming appeared near Jin Yu. 2 beams of black light shot out from his eyes. They were like 2 divine swords, piercing toward Jin Yu. This was a soul attack and Jin Yu's realm could not withstand it. The black divine swords pierced through the realm at an astonishing speed and entered Jin Yu's body. They went straight for his spiritual spirit. Boom! At this moment, Jin Yu felt a tearing pain in his soul. His spiritual spirit shook violently and his aura weakened. At this moment, Lu Ming unleashed his full strength. His 3rd bloodline appeared and a wisp of energy entered Lu Ming's body. He then punched out. This punch was Lu Ming's strongest attack apart from the chaotic flipping sky seal. The punch directly pierced through Jin Yu's realm and headed towards Jin Yu. Get lost! Jinyu roared as he endured the pain in his soul and unleashed his full strength. However, how much strength could he unleash in such a short time? Boom! Lu Ming's fist force crushed Jinyu's power like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. Jinyu's entire body shook violently as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was like a cannonball as he was sent flying by Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming stomped heavily in the air. His figure was like lightning as he caught up with Jinyu and punched out again. Jinyu screamed miserably. His entire body was smashed into the ground, heavily smashing into a towering devil mountain. Rubble flew everywhere as Jinyu's entire body sank into the devil mountain. How could this be? The other disciples of the Sky Universe Demon sect were dumbfounded. Earlier, it was clearly Jinyu who had the upper hand all along. Why was it that in a blink of an eye, Jinyu was defeated by Lu Ming with a crushing momentum? Some people didn't even see how Jinyu was defeated. Just now, Lu Ming had suddenly counterattacked, using the Divine Gate 9 seals, and then used the Divine Sword Arts to attack Jinyu's soul, causing Jinyu to reveal an opening. Then, he exploded with his full strength and heavily injured Jinyu. All of this happened too quickly, in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint. Brat, what kind of despicable means did you use to injure senior brother Jinyu? That's right, he must have used some despicable means. Otherwise, senior brother Jinyu clearly had the upper hand. How could he be defeated so quickly? You're shameless. A few youths glared at Lu Ming and berated him. Shut up. A cold shout rang out as Xian Yanqing stepped forward. His face was as cold as frost as his gaze swept across the disciples of the Sky Universe Demon sect. He berated, as a disciple of the Sky Universe Demon sect, you were defeated when your cultivation was 2 levels higher. Instead of reflecting on your own shortcomings, you only know how to slander others. Don't you feel ashamed? But one of the youths wanted to refute. What just now? In the previous battle, anyone with a discerning eye could see that Jinyu had used a martial emperor's spiritual weapon, while Lu Ming was still barehanded. He did not even use a martial emperor's spiritual weapon. He won by relying on his own strength. How could he have used any despicable means? If he really did use some despicable means, there are so many people here, including a senior brother who is a high-level martial emperor. How could he hide it from them? Xian Yanqing berated once again. Some of the youths in the crowd with unfathomable cultivations wore unpleasant looks on their faces. They knew that Xian Yanqing was right. Lu Ming had won by relying on a secret technique and his own strength. The youths blushed and did not dare to say anything. Is there anyone else who wants to challenge me? 4th layer Martial Dominator Realm and below are welcome to challenge me. Lu Ming said. The disciples of the Sky Universe Demon sect wore gloomy expressions. Who else could fight? Even Jinyu had been defeated. Jinyu was definitely an undefeatable figure among the 4th layer martial emperors. Not many people could defeat him. If even he had been defeated, the others would only be humiliating themselves. The crowd exchanged glances with one another, but no one dared to step forward. I thought the disciples of the Yuanlu sect would be strong. But in the end, they couldn't even defeat me, someone from the desolated island. How disappointing. Lu Ming shook his head and let out a sigh. Ah, damn it. Many of the youths of the Sky Universe Demon sect clenched their fists and gritted their teeth. Lu Ming's words were like slaps to their faces. Previously, they had called Lu Ming an ant from the desolated island. How could he be compared to them? They had belittled Lu Ming and placed themselves in a superior position, saying that Lu Ming was not worthy of Xian Yanqing. Only geniuses like them were worthy of Xian Yanqing. But now, they had sent geniuses who were 2 layers higher than Lu Ming, but they were still no match for Lu Ming. If Lu Ming was an ant from the desolated island, then what were they? Their faces were burning, as if there were flames burning on them. I almost forgot. I have something to do. I'll leave first. A young man suddenly spoke and turned around to leave. Ah, I have something to do too. Me too. My master is looking for me. Then, one by one, the young men quickly left. They were too ashamed to stay there. Especially in front of Xian Yanqing. Kid, the Sky Universe Demon sect has a stronger genius. He's just training outside. Let's fight next time. A few of the most unwilling youths spat out hatefully before slipping away. Even Jin Yu was carried away by others. In the blink of an eye, everyone had left. Lu Ming, I'm sorry. Xian Yanqing stepped forward and held Lu Ming's hand. What's there to be sorry about? You're my woman. These toads want to eat swan meat. I'll beat them up one by one. Lu Ming smiled. Xian Yanqing's little face blushed slightly as a happy smile appeared on her face. Buzz! Right at this moment, ripples suddenly appeared in the space nearby, and a figure abruptly appeared there. It was a middle-aged beauty in a black magic robe. She had an indescribable aura. Master! Xian Yanqing exclaimed when he saw the middle-aged beauty. Chapter 1478. The sect master of the Sky Universe Demon sect was definitely an overlord in the Tsang Prefecture. He was someone who could shake the entire Tsang Prefecture with a stomp of his foot. He was someone who was on par with the Valley Master of the Dragon God Valley. Lu Ming stepped forward and cupped his fists. Junior Lu Ming greets Senior. The sect master of the Sky Universe Demon sect revealed a faint smile and said, "Little guy, you're quite strong. You actually managed to cultivate the chaotic domain. That's rare. Thank you Senior for your compliment." Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, The sect master of the Sky Universe Demon sect nodded and looked at Xian Yanqing with a doting look. Young people, I won't object to you dating each other. The Sky Universe Demon sect master's tone suddenly changed as he said, however, all of you are still in the golden age of cultivation. You should prioritize your cultivation. Although all of your talents are not bad, your cultivation is too low. In the vast Yuan land, it's nothing. Without cultivation, you won't be able to truly possess freedom. Little guy, do you understand? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he said, Junior understands. Also, Yanqing has the innate demon body. She's peerless, but because of that, there are many people who covet her. With your current cultivation, you're too weak. Can you protect Yanqing? The sect master of the Sky Universe Demon sect continued. Lu Ming frowned slightly. The sect master of the Sky Universe Demon sect's meaning was obvious. His cultivation was too weak. Master, Lu Ming and I have been through life and death situations together. I believe that Lu Ming will definitely rise. He won't let others hurt me, Xian Yanqing said. Silly boy, you're too naive. How can the divine wilderness continent be compared to the Yuan continent? The sect master of the Sky Universe Demon sect said. But, Master, Xian Yanqing wanted to say more. Yanqing. Lu Ming interrupted Xian Yanqing and said, Yanqing, Senior is right. The Yuan continent is countless times larger than the divine wilderness continent. My cultivation level is indeed too low in the Yuan continent, so I can't give you too much of a guarantee. However, I will definitely work hard to cultivate. When I reach the clouds one day, I will truly be free and unfettered in the world. So, Yanqing, you should cultivate well in the Sky Universe Demon sect. In the future, I'll travel the world with you. This was what Lu Ming truly felt. Ever since he had come to the Yuan continent, Lu Ming had realized how insignificant he was. In the Divine Desolate continent, a martial emperor was a high and mighty overlord. However, in the Yuan continent, martial emperors were the most common existence. They could even be said to be ants. True experts were as common as clouds in the Yuan continent. Lu Ming had even seen a true great emperor before. That was truly terrifying. Only by reaching the pinnacle of the world could one truly be free and unfettered in the world and not be controlled by others. At this moment, Lu Ming was filled with heroic spirit. His goal wasn't the Sage Realm or even the Great Emperor Realm, but the pinnacle of the world. An indescribable confidence flowed out from Lu Ming's body. What an arrogant young man. I'll wait for the day when you reach the clouds. Go! The Sky Universe Demon Sect Master waved his hand and said. Master, I'd like to send Lu Ming off. Xian Yanqing said. All right. The Sky Universe Demon Sect Master nodded and took a step forward, disappearing from sight. Lu Ming. Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming with a trace of reluctance in her eyes. Silly girl, I'm here to see you. After seeing you, I'm going to leave. I can't possibly stay in the Sky Universe Demon Sect forever. Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's hand and laughed. Moreover, the Sky Universe Demon Sect isn't far from the Divine Dragon Valley. If I have time, I'll come and see you again. Lu Ming continued. Xian Yanqing nodded gently and held Lu Ming's hand as they walked out of the Sky Universe Demon Sect. Very soon, they were out of the Heavenly Universe Demon Sect. Xian Yanqing was still reluctant to part with Lu Ming. She wanted to send Lu Ming for a while longer. Just like that, the two of them strolled in the air at a steady pace. Just like that, half a day passed. Xiao Qin, you should go back. If you continue to send me off, we'll reach the Divine Dragon Valley. Lu Ming said with a smile. Lu Ming, don't blame Master. Xian Yanqing said softly, but before she could finish her words, Lu Ming had already pressed his lips against hers. The two of them hugged each other tightly as if they were about to fuse together. After more than 10 minutes, the two of them finally separated. You don't have to say anything. I know that you have to trust me. I'll definitely dominate this world in the future. When that time comes, no one will stop us. Lu Ming smiled and took out a black bracelet for Xian Yanqing to wear. It was the bracelet that Lu Ming had obtained from the Great Emperor's mystic realm. A sacred weapon? Xian Yanqing muttered as her eyes reddened. Silly girl, go back. I'm leaving. Lu Ming kissed Xian Yanqing's forehead and turned to leave. Lu Ming, I'll also work hard on my cultivation. When you're at the peak, I'll accompany you. A faint voice could be heard as Xian Yanqing turned around and headed back to the Sky Universe Demon Sect. Swoosh! Lu Ming extended his body and broke through the void, allowing the wind to blow on his face. I'll definitely dominate the world in the future. Lu Ming roared, his voice echoing for thousands of miles. It would be a lie to say that he felt comfortable during his trip to the Sky Universe Demon Sect. Forget about the younger generation. In the end, even Xian Yanqing's master had appeared. Although his words were not sharp, his attitude was obvious. Lu Ming was too weak and was not worthy of Xian Yanqing. He had to stay away from Xian Yanqing as much as possible. This was the Sky Universe Demon Sect's master's intention. Before coming to Yuanlu, Lu Ming had not expected that Xian Yanqing would be chosen by the Sky Universe Demon Sect's master and be accepted as a pro-disciple. She had even become the saintess of the Sky Universe Demon Sect. As a result, there were some disturbances between them. Lu Ming held back his anger. However, he also knew that the Sky Universe Demon Sect's master was right. His cultivation was still too weak. Now that he was with Xian Yanqing, he couldn't be free and unfettered. If a martial emperor at the peak of the martial king realm coveted Xian Yanqing, what could he do? Strength, everything still depended on strength. He needed to be strong. Ever since he had established the Dragon Alliance, dominated the Divine Wilderness continent, and killed De, Lu Ming had relaxed a little. Although his pursuit of the martial Dao had not changed, he did not feel as pressured as before. Without pressure, he lacked the courage to move forward. Now, there was another strong pressure coming from his body. Whoosh! Lu Ming cut through the void and moved forward rapidly. He passed by the vast land in a flash, heading in the direction of the Divine Dragon Valley. Suddenly, Lu Ming's heart tightened. He felt a strong sense of danger. Without hesitation, black wings appeared on Lu Ming's back and wrapped around Lu Ming. Whoosh! In the sky, a demonic saber seemed to break through the heavens and earth as it slashed toward Lu Ming. Clang! The demonic saber slashed the black wings. Lu Ming felt as if he had been hit by a mountain and was sent flying. After flying for tens of thousands of meters, Lu Ming stabilized his body and spat out a mouthful of blood. Sky Universe Demon Sect. Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning. Chapter 1479. 6 figures with terrifying auras intertwined with one another, sealing off Lu Ming's escape route. 5 7th-layer martial dominators and 1 6th-layer martial dominator. Lu Ming's eyes widened. One of them was a young man with long hair and a demonic saber on his back. He looked like a young demon god with a ferocious aura. He was a 6th-layer martial dominator. As for the other 5, their appearances could not be seen clearly as they were covered in a pitch-black demonic glow. Their terrifying auras soared into the sky. These 5 people were all 7th-layer martial dominators. The Empyrean Demons sect really thinks highly of me. Lu Ming stared at the young man with sharp eyes. That saber strike just now was from this young man. He was a terrifying genius. You think you can leave after injuring a genius of the Empyrean Demons sect and blaspheming our saintess? You're too naive. The young man spoke with a cold murderous intent. The Empyrean Demons sect is one of the top 13 factions in the Tsang continent. Is this all you've got? You're sending experts to hunt me down because you can't defeat your peers? Lu Ming let out a hollow laugh. Since you're dead, no one will know about this. The young man's face remained cold and calm. He took a step forward toward Lu Ming. Each step he took caused a powerful pressure to press down on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. His mind was spinning rapidly as he thought of a way to escape. Lu Ming, I'll give you a chance. Give me your cultivation technique and I might spare your life. The young man spoke with a hint of greed in his eyes. He had witnessed the battle between Lu Ming and Jin Yu at the Empyrean Demons sect. Lu Ming had defeated Jin Yu's 5th-grade domain with a 2nd-grade domain. He was curious about Lu Ming's cultivation technique to have such a terrifying domain. Oh? You want my cultivation method? Sure, but tell me one question. Who sent you here? Lu Ming asked. The young man's eyes flashed. Then, he sneered, I'm the one who wants to kill you. All right, speak. Kill. At this time, Lu Ming suddenly roared and charged at the youth. His black wings flapped, bringing with them a gust of wind that swept towards the youth. His 2 wings were like 2 heavenly blades that slashed at the youth. You're courting death. The young man said coldly. The demonic saber on his back did not leave its scabbard. Instead, he used his palm as a saber and slashed out. A shocking demonic blade appeared and slashed forward. Dong! The demonic saber slashed at the black wings, causing them to vibrate violently. Lu Ming's body retreated like a cannonball. His blood and qi were in turmoil, and fresh blood flowed out of his mouth. Without a doubt, this young man was a top-notch heaven's favorite with shocking battling capabilities. Although his cultivation was only at the 6th-layer martial dominator realm, his strength could easily kill a 7th-layer martial dominator, or even an 8th-layer martial dominator. Lu Ming was no match for him. Don't attack. Seal off the area. I'll kill him, said the young man coldly. He stepped forward and closed in on Lu Ming. Whoosh! The young man lashed out with his palm, causing a terrifying demonic saber to slash at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's glabella shone and a shield appeared. It became extremely large and blocked in front of him. Clang! The demonic saber slashed at the shield, causing it to vibrate violently. The shield and Lu Ming were both sent flying by the impact. Sacred weapon, another sacred weapon. You have quite a lot of treasures on you. Unfortunately, you're a piece of trash. What a waste of treasures. I'll keep them for you in the future. Remember, the one who killed you is He from the Demons sect. The greed in the young man's eyes grew stronger as his aura grew stronger. He waved his hand, causing the demonic saber to appear on his back. A terrifying saber glow stirred the wind. Attack! Lu Ming suddenly let out a roar. He flapped his wings and charged at Emohi like a black bolt of lightning. Emohi's eyes turned cold. He was about to slash out with his saber when a transparent bubble suddenly appeared and enveloped him. His body was frozen in place. 9 seals of the divine gate. Lu Ming let out a low roar. 5 sealed doors appeared around Emohi and pressed down on him. Break for me! Emohi roared as his demonic aura erupted. The demonic saber transformed into a shocking saber glow that bombarded the transparent bubble. The transparent bubble rumbled and shook violently. It only lasted for a breath of time before it shattered. As the transparent bubble shattered, the 5 sealed doors pressed down on Emohi. Slash! Emohi struggled with all his might. The saber glow tore through the air and the 5 sealed doors were broken one by one. However, Lu Ming had already appeared not far from Emohi. Divine Sword Art. Lu Ming shot out 2 rays of black light from his eyes. They were like 2 divine swords that shot into Emohi's body and into his spiritual spirit. Emohi's spiritual spirit trembled, and his aura became unstable. Primal Chaos Flipping Sky Seal. Lu Ming roared. In the sky, a huge primal chaos seal pressed down on Emohi like an ancient divine mountain, bringing with it terrifying waves of chi. Even Emohi's pupils shrank. He couldn't ignore this power. Break! Emohi roared. His entire body seemed to have turned into a demonic saber that soared into the sky. Boom! The primal chaos flipping sky seal collided heavily with the demonic saber, creating a shocking boom. At this moment, time seemed to have frozen. Watch me! Dandan shouted as she flew out. She flew above the primal chaos flipping sky seal and her body grew rapidly. Dense inscriptions appeared on her body. Her entire body seemed to have turned into a tortoise-shaped mountain that stepped heavily on the primal chaos flipping sky seal. Boom! The weight of the primal chaos flipping sky seal instantly increased. The saber glow that Emohi had turned into shattered. The primal chaos flipping sky seal continued to press down on Emohi. Emohi roared as he raised his palms and struck the primal chaos flipping sky seal. Boom! The primal chaos flipping sky seal was penetrated, but Emohi's body also fell like a meteorite because of this force. As Mohertz descended, there was a gap in the encirclement that they had formed around Lu Ming. Chirp chirp, bubbles chirped as a space-time passage appeared. Lu Ming rushed into the void passage with Dandan and Bubbles and appeared thousands of miles away. Then, he flapped his black wings and flew forward rapidly. Swoosh! Emohi soared into the sky again. His eyes were filled with shocking flames as he roared furiously, chase after him. Swoosh! 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 Emohi and the other 5 LV7 Martial Royal Realm experts turned into 6 beams of demonic light and chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming took out a pile of primordial stones and swallowed them to recover his true essence. At the same time, he increased his speed to the maximum and flew away quickly. He knew that the blow just now could not do anything to Emohi at all. Emohi's combat strength was too strong. Just now, it was because Emohi had underestimated his opponent that Lu Ming had taken him by surprise. He had used Dandan and Bubbles to launch a series of attacks. In the end, he had used the primal chaos flipping sky seal, Dandan's power, and the divine sword art to send Emohi flying. However, he should not be able to hurt Emohi.